Well, thank you guys so much for staying and listening to my story. My name is Audrey, and I live here at the iHouse. I have for 2 years now. And this story just happened one day downstairs at the cafeteria. I was sitting with a group of people that I really didn't know too well. And they started to have a discussion, and they tried to refer to one of the cafeteria workers. And they kind of were like struggling to identify which one they were talking about. And so then one gentleman just said, she's the black one. And being the only black person at the table, immediately everyone kind of gazed or like just looked to kind of check with me, like, was that okay? How was I gonna react? Am I offended? Am I mad? And definitely, I think I felt awkward. I wasn't mad, but their reaction to what he had said immediately created a situation that I was forced to like address. And even if I hadn't addressed it, I think that would have been a statement also to the group. And so I was battling with the idea of not wanting to be the stereotypical like angry black person, because that also happens, but then also not wanting to be the person that just stuck quiet because an awkward moment happens. Awkward moments happen all the time. And so what I said to him was, you could just learn her name. I mean, the cafeteria workers do wear name tags. And so in order to deflate that really awkward situation, I thought that would be a very simple way to say, like, there are other ways to identify people other than simply their race, and that if we try, very simply to just gaze at that, I mean, we see them every day, I think that would be helpful. And something that happened that I didn't realize till we talked earlier was that the young man, he didn't have a response to what I said, and it didn't bother me at all. But what did happen was Nuea tapped on my leg and told me that was good. And it let me know that the group, because of course then it's me, it's the person who said something that the group felt like crossed the line, and it's the group, the audience in that moment. And I don't know how the audience is feeling. I know that they're feeling awkward, and I know they're looking to me to be that ambassador for my race. And I didn't know if I handled it correctly. I didn't know if I was bold enough, or I didn't know if I even gave a good enough answer. But really, like, her reassurance really helped me to feel like I had done the right thing. And we had spoken earlier also, and that itself was also a demonstration of moral courage, to be able to be that person to to support the person who stood up and said something. Or else sometimes you can just feel alone in those situations where you stood up and you're like, I think I made a difference, I think they heard me, I think I dealt with that well. So to have that reassurance really meant a lot to me, and I'm glad that what I said did resonate with the group in the appropriate measure of intensity that it needed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And Audrey, you weren't here at the very beginning or close to the beginning, but this is such a beautiful sort of pleasing coherence to the whole evening, because we started off by talking about, with the audience that is, by talking about how can we be at one and the same time honest and decent. And your response to the gentleman, hey, why don't you just learn her name? All the cafeteria workers wear name tags, strikes me as exactly that. Honest and decent. Not angry, not harsh, not overly polite in order to compensate for being thought or being perceived the angry black woman, right? Just decent. And so simple. What a simple solution to an otherwise awkward moment. And it reminds me to just emphasize that, when we talk about courage, the reason it is courage that we talk about is that we are feeling fear. Fear of what? Fear of being judged, first and foremost, by other people. Fear of being stigmatized. Fear of being disapproved of. And also, let's never forget, self-imposed fear of feeling gross, as I said earlier, or icky because, this was a really weird moment, right? So emotions, which any social science study will tell you, emotions are so much more powerful than rationality or reason. And that is why self-awareness is incredibly important. And our friend who may or may not still be here, the young man who earlier talked about having EQ, an emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, he was absolutely right. That if you can identify what you're feeling in any given moment, then you can actually name it for yourself and then pull back from it. And then take the breath that you need to take before responding, which will go very far towards assuring decency and, in some cases, courage.